Namaste, guys. ChristianRLong, Life Enhancement Consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Thursday afternoon. It's about 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. I cannot believe I'm actually able to do a live stream from the ashram. It's Brittany. Brittany's on. Namaste, Brittany. Good to have you on. So this is one of the very, very, very rare opportunities that the Wi-Fi signal is strong enough here in the Catskills in Bovina, New York, in the mountain town. It's actually not a mountain town. It's more of a teeny tiny itty bitty cow town. And as you guys know, whenever we do Namaste, whenever we do the live streams, we go to Margaretville, which is about 20 minutes away, to do the live streams. And I just wanted to take a chance. I wanted to take a risk and see if it would be possible to connect with you guys over Facebook, using my phone, connecting to the Wi-Fi here at the ashram. And surprise, 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 we were able to get on. Prashant, Namaste. Good to have you on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to appreciate the extra views that you guys bumped up the last video. A lot of people got on and shared the love, and it was really, really appreciated. So I thought a little bit differently than we typically do. We're on a break until 5 o'clock. So I thought, well, why not jump on, add some value to you guys, make it like a Q&A, mix it up. What questions would you like answered? What would you like to talk about? Again, same 3 topics that we always talk about, but we can always go broader or we can go deeper with any one of those topics about energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality. And you guys have noticed something probably very rare. I shaved my beard off, which it grows back in like a week, so it's not a big loss. And then B, look, I'm not actually fully burned like a lobster, but a little bit of a tan has been happening. So that's nice. And then after we do the stream, we're going to do some healing, make the time productive. We typically get about, now this part of the 21-day retreat, we get about 3 hours a day to do work that's specific to us, right? Working on our family, healing our family, working on our physical health, working on our finances, planning, strategizing, whatever we feel is necessary to help move our lives forward. Panagiotis, Namaste. I'm guessing you're from Greece, but I'm not 100% sure. Welcome. So, Prashant has a question. How has your experience been at the ashram? What are your biggest takeaways so far? What can you share you learned at retreat that will enlighten our lives in day? Excellent question. So, as I covered in the last stream, when I get back to Denver on August 3rd, I'm going to be doing a live stream that's going to have a detailed breakdown of what I learned, what my experiences were at the retreat, and what you guys can do to apply that into your life. So that will be more extensive, but for now, what would be a good awareness? What would be good awareness? I would say one of them would be, with proper training and proper technique, you can produce miracles. Yeah, you did get me thinking, because there's so many things that we can talk about. I mean, think about it. We're in class on the 21-day retreat. We're in class from 8 o'clock in the morning to, say, 11 o'clock at night, right? That's 15 hours a day of being in class. Lectures, healings, meditations, occasional breaks here and there to assimilate the energies, do our physical exercises, connect with one another. But I would say one of the masters was able to produce miraculous healings in the subconscious mind for people. And it was interesting because we were scanning the energy right? We're scanning the energy of the subconscious mind of each person that was going up, negative thoughts and negative emotions in their subconscious mind. And it's very dense. Harita, namaste. It's very dense, it's very heavy. And what's very, very interesting that I think you guys should be aware of, ironically enough, talking about awareness, talking about the subconscious mind, is that if somebody asks you a question and you immediately answer yes, no, or whatever your answer is, if it's like a reaction, right? If it's a reaction, that means it's in your subconscious mind. So a beautiful example was, he asked the question, who thinks that they can be a millionaire? Who thinks that they can be a multimillionaire? And the people who doubted, the people who didn't raise their hands immediately, those were people who have subconscious programs around poverty consciousness, limited thinking, lack of self-worth, lack of self-esteem, right? So the people who had done inner work, or the people who are already very prosperous, hand immediately goes up because the subconscious programming is not there, right? Who wants to be a millionaire? Bam. No thinking. It's like a knee-jerk response or a knee-jerk reaction, right? So each person, not every person, but several of the people within the group went up and asked for healing of the subconscious mind about a specific thing. So they would whisper in the master's ear, hey, can you heal this part of my subconscious programming? And again, the difference between what is conscious and subconscious, what closes the gap between the two, is awareness. Is awareness. So whenever we have knee-jerk response, whenever we react to a situation versus responding to a situation, we're operating from the subconscious mind. And there are thousands of programs that we are running in our subconscious mind, right? So the person came up on stage, or the people came up on stage, they whispered into the master's ear what they needed healing on, and then he did the technique. And you would scan, so you scanned before the healing, you scanned during the healing, and you scanned after the healing, right? To see the difference of the change. And what was fascinating was, as you're scanning the energy is super dense. Bless you. The energy is super, super dense, right? Like sticky, heavy, sharp. Shelly Atma Namaste. And right after and then during the healing, you could literally feel the energy melting, right? Like taking a torch to an ice cube, right? Melting. But what's interesting is something that would take most of us, an hour, 2 hours or more of healing, the master was able to do it within 5 seconds. And I don't mean that hyperbolically. I literally mean 5 seconds. Had a certain crystal, did the technique, scan before, scan during, scan after. The subconscious mind was super clean of that specific energy. So what does this go back to? It goes back to proper technique. It goes back to proper training. Because Grandmaster Chogo Koksui developed 2 systems. He's the modern founder of pranic healing, which is the healing system, which encompasses protocols for physical healing, emotional healing, relationship healing, financial healing, spiritual healing, psychological healing. And then he created a yoga system known as Arhatic Yoga, which properly, rapidly, and safely evolves one's little self to the big self. So that's where we get our energy from to do our healings. So they work in tandem with one another. The more energy you have, the faster you can heal more people. But you're using protocols that have been tested over and over and over and over again to produce miraculous results. So when you combine the two, you have miracles, right? So because of his training as a pranic healing master, he understands the protocols very well. And because of his energy body as an Arhatic Yoga practitioner, he's able to channel a tremendous amount of energy to produce a miraculous healing result that many of us, Sharak, Abba Namaste, it's been a long time since I've seen you on. Good to have you back on. So miraculous miraculous healing results are able to be produced. And it's interesting because a website that was produced many years ago, if I remember correctly, it's called pranichealingcertification.com. If I remember correctly, pranichealingcertification.com. It shows the steps of how one becomes a certified healer, from an associate certified healer to a certified healer to a psychotherapy certified healer to a senior healer to a associate master, master, and grandmaster. And it talks about what at each level, what that person is able to produce. So meaning, a master pranic healer can produce a result in a period of time that an associate master pranic healer would find very difficult, if not impossible, to accomplish. But then you have a grandmaster pranic healer that, if karmically permissible, can produce miraculous healing results. So Grandmaster Choa is the only grandmaster within the system and school of pranic healing. To my knowledge, there are no other people that are in the running for the grandmaster title or the grandmaster ability. So again, it goes back to proper training and proper technique. The technique coming from pranic healing, the training coming from pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. So Adriana says, how can one assure that the subconscious mind will not be recontaminated with similar programs from the environment? Excellent question, which that in and of itself is the $64 million question, because we take a shower once and we're not clean for the rest of our lives, right? So we are constantly, never-endingly being influenced by our own thoughts, our own feelings, the thoughts and feelings of other people, and then the collective thoughts and feelings of the environment. So just like we take a shower daily to be clean, we want to do our meditation practice daily. We want to get energy healing daily. We want to have inner reflection and firm resolution daily. We want to have these daily practices to keep ourselves as clean as possible, with as much awareness as possible, to realize, something or someone is subconsciously programming me. So for instance, for any of you who saw the movie The Secret, so anyone who saw the movie The Secret, they talk about materialization. And a woman was sharing her experience of a gentleman was sharing his experience of wanting to find the right partner. And so he was a very refined guy, a lot of resources. I think he was in the art world, and he had this big painting of a woman on the wall in his house, and he wanted a partner, and he thought this was a representation of what he wanted. But in the painting, the woman was like her back was facing him in the painting, and then she was looking over her shoulder like this, almost as like a dismissive energy, right? So every day he comes in from work, from exercising, from whatever, he comes in and he sees that painting on the wall, and it's constantly programming his subconscious mind, not allowing him to attract the right partner. So guess what? He takes the painting down through the recommendation of the coach. He puts a different painting up, and within a very short period of time, he ended up attracting the right partner, right? So that goes with the principles of pranic feng shui, which is a class in pranic healing that was developed by Grandmaster Choa Kuk-Sui many years ago. So that would be an example of that is training your subconscious mind, your environment. So just on the back of the wall, right, is the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. So if you look at it, it's bright, it's radiant, it's happy, it's blue, which stimulates the mental body, right? The color blue stimulates the mental faculties, right? And yellow and blue stimulate the mental faculties. The ajna is primarily indigo and yellow. Some people it's yellow and, it's green and indigo for certain people, depending upon their profession. But something like this on your wall at home, every time you sit down and you see it, or every time you're walking from one room to another and see it, it's programming your subconscious mind to the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, right? Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Wherever there is hatred, let me sow love. Wherever there is injury, pardon, right? Is that making sense? So that's something that positively programs your subconscious mind. Think about this. If you have a home office and you have papers scattered all over the place and everything is on the wall, like, you have all these little sticky notes here, there, everywhere, right? What kind of subconscious programming would you be getting? Chaos, lack of order, lack of clarity, right? So that's programming your subconscious mind. A friend of mine hired me many, many years ago to go into her house and to clean out one room, only one room. It was her office, her home office. We cleaned it out, there were 11 garbage bags full of paperwork. 11 garbage bags full of paperwork, that when we cleaned that out and we organized everything in her office, she was able to think clearly and her emotions were calm. Because whatever's in your environment is in your aura. So if you have a lot of old paperwork, old bills, old love letters, old anything, old clothing, that energy is in your auric field. When you remove it out of your living space or working space, your energy body expands and can breathe more appropriately. So Grandmaster Chola Koksui was able to successfully run 13 different businesses that were worth millions of dollars, and he did it from a simple desk, phone, filing cabinet, and chair. That's it. So at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, his desk was clean, it was clear, it was functional, right? There wasn't paperwork all over the place. So that's an example that our subconscious mind is constantly, never-endingly being programmed. You can't shut it off. It's constantly and never-endingly being programmed by our thoughts, by our words, by our feelings, by the thoughts, words, and feelings of others, and by the environment, right? It's actually very funny. So keep it clean and program it with positive programs, but be careful how you define positive, which is subjective. Absolutely. Correct. So you have to have the awareness of how that picture, that expression, that piece of furniture, that piece of clothing, what it evokes within you. Positive thoughts and feelings or negative thoughts and feelings. Right? Positive thoughts and feelings or negative thoughts and feelings. It was an interesting story. A friend of mine who's a fellow Arhatic Yoga practitioner, we're both from Massachusetts. And we both have had this experience several times that he lives in another state other than Massachusetts. I live in Colorado. I no longer live in Massachusetts. But whenever we have gone back to Massachusetts, we feel very irritated, we feel very rushed, and we feel angry in ways that we typically don't feel when we're not in Massachusetts. But why is that? It's the collective energy of Massachusetts, right? The puritanical viewpoint around sex, around stuffing your emotions, around being super mental, right? So, but if you were to travel to, say, California, where it's more laid back, it's more surfer, it's more tech, right? The energy is going to be different. Or being in, say, Iowa and the flatlands, the energy is going to be different. Versus being in Colorado, where you have these gigantic mountains and everyone's being super active and super fit and super dynamic and always in nature. You know, rock climbing, snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking, hiking, right? So the energy is going to be different. So that's a way to program yourself. So if you look at your living situation and go, okay, what is my living situation? How is my little space that I live in, how is that programming my subconscious mind? My drive to work, how is that programming my subconscious mind? My work environment and the people that I connect with, how is that programming my subconscious mind? The city that I live in, how is that programming my subconscious mind? The state, the country, right? All of those things are programming the subconscious mind. That's why it's so very interesting to be aware of that. So, miracles do take place here in Bovina. So what other questions, comments, clarifications are you guys seeking while we're able to connect and do the live stream for today? Melissa, namaste. Welcome to the stream. I think I've seen you one other time before. Right now we're talking about energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality. Feel free to throw out a question. We'll do our best to answer it clearly. We may have a story or two backing up that explanation. I think to myself, if I were to do this on Facebook, no, not Facebook, if I were able to do this on YouTube, because we have a lot of subscribers on YouTube, that would be even better. Jugo, namaste. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Right now we're doing a Q&A because this is very, very, very rare that I'm able to do a live stream from the ashram itself. So why not take advantage of it? Check out this cup. You see the cup? Kenny, I know that wall so well. Is it because you've been punished for not doing your meditation practice long enough? Go to the wall, stare at the wall, stare at St. Francis of Assisi. I remember when I was a little kid, my babysitter, not the best babysitter in the world, but she would have me like in the corner, looking at like the corner of a wall, a white wall, in between her son's bedroom and the kitchen, and she would just have me punish me for something. I don't even remember what it was, and I would just be staring at the wall for hours. Like, I'd be staring at the wall so long that my legs would start getting tired, and I'm like, I don't like this babysitter very much. When is my mom coming? And whenever I shared it with my mom, she never believed me. But anyways, so we have these coffee mugs all over the ashram, and all the mugs are different, but they all have like a pranic healing bent to them, or Arhatic Yoga, or Om Mani Padme Hum, or I Am the Soul, and they're really, really nice. And if you guys can see it clearly, it is a peacock feather. And a peacock feather represents what? For the more advanced people that are on, a peacock feather represents what? And you guys can ask any questions. I'm here. I'm going to be here for a little bit. This is part of my work. This is part of my service of inspiring you guys, adding beautiful information, sharing our teachers' teachings. So Adriana says, that's why you have an active imagination, because of the white walls. That's actually really funny. There's an exercise in, when I took my very, very first pranic healing class in March of 2004, there was a woman by the name of Pat, and she was known as a healer and a psychic in town, and she was in her early 60s. Never heard of pranic healing, but from a friend to a friend, she heard about the class, and she decided to attend. And the woman was really good, like super good clairvoyant. Brittany gets it. The blue pearl, which is in the center of the head. It's in the center of the pineal gland. You can look it up later if you want more information. A book I would highly recommend getting is Om Mani Padme Hum by Grandmaster Choa Koksui. Om Mani Padme Hum by Grandmaster Choa Koksui, which talks about the blue pearl in detail. Or you can get Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul, also by Grandmaster Choa Koksui. Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul. If you've read the book, reread the book, study the book, practice what's in the book, and then reread the book again, and you'll get more information out of it. Adriana says blue pearl, excellent. Good. So this woman, Pat, came to the pranic healing class, and she was spot on with a lot of her intuitional readings, if you will. Like, we would go on break and she would talk about things that she sees or things that she knows, or she would come up to somebody, and she was very humble about it, and she was a breath of fresh air. She had a great personality, and we asked her the question, where did you develop your ability to see things? And we were thinking, maybe it was from a great teacher or a guru or something like that, right? Come to find out, she actually was a practitioner of the Sedona method, which was developed by Jose Silva, I think in the late 60s, early 70s, if I'm correct. And they have an exercise in the book, right? The Silva method. Wait, I did say Silva, not Sedona. Sedona is a different technique. The Silva method, my apologies. The Silva method by Jose Silva. And in that, they talk about having a white screen, and imagining things on that white screen. But the little secret is it's developing your clairvoyance. They don't say it specifically. Silva, okay. They don't say it specifically. What's up, girl?
I need one of the blankets.
Which blanket? These?
No. So the bed sheets.
Oh.
Are you
One of these?
ordering something?
I am. You can come over.
No.
I know you love being on camera.
I love it.
Being on camera and sharing beautiful things with beautiful people. Denise, namaste. Good to have you on, fellow Arhatic Yoga practitioner. Speaking of shyness, you know the thing about shyness? I think it's only happened one time that I was shy in front of people. Claudia. Brittany says hi. Is one time I was shy that I can remember. I was 7 years old. We were doing a performance at school. All the parents came and filled up the auditorium. We had the little bleachers and the super, super bright lights that were on the stage. So the super bright lights were, like blinding. Everyone in this audience looked black, right? You just see black heads and silhouettes, and then you see all these cameras flashing. This is like back in the day with Polaroids. People didn't have cell phones. People didn't have unlimited capacity to take pictures and delete them at will. This was like the legit thing. So you see all these Polaroids going off, and the parents that have those super expensive like cameras with the the expensive lenses and all that stuff. So it was intense. So we're all singing, and we're doing the little singy thing that kids do at that age, like whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing the bright lights in my face. I'm seeing all the shadows of the people in the audience. I'm seeing the flashing lights, and I'm starting to get like a little vertigo. I'm like, what's going on? And then like I start swaying and rocking, and all the like crystal clear singing started to become muffled. Like everyone was singing underwater, and I was like, and then before I knew it, bam! Kenny Me says, I love you all. Aw, we love you too, Kenny. By the way, Kenny is like the champion of the 9-day and 21-day retreat. The champion. He teaches yoga every morning at 7. He does the ballroom dancing in the evenings. Karina, namaste. He like gets after it. So this is one of the rare times that he's not been at one of the spiritual vacations. And of course, when I'm here for 21 days, he's not here. What's that all about? Anyways, so love you anyways. So all of a sudden I pass out right on the bleachers. I fall right on the bleachers, like bam. But I slunk down. Like I didn't fall into the kid in front of me. I just like slunk down. And I don't know how long I was out. Could have been a minute, could have been 15 minutes. I mean, the performance is probably not going to be that long. So then like I stand up, and then I hear everyone clapping. The curtains are starting to close. And then I stumble off the little bleachers on the stage, and my guidance counselor, not a teacher, but my guidance counselor was there. She's wearing an all black dress. She had these glasses on. I kind of was attracted to her, which is weird because she's like in probably her early 40s, and I'm like 7 years old. So what's that all about? I have no idea. So anyways, I fall off the bleachers into her and puke right on her dress. Bam, just vomit everywhere, right under her black dress. Good thing it was black, right? Because it's not going to leave a stain that is noticeable. And then they just rushed me off to the nurse, and they gave me some juice and whatever. And I slowly, like, my hands are like trembling. I'm like sweating profusely like Elvis in his final performance. And that was the only time that I remember having stage fright ever, before or after. Ever since then, I've spoken in front of hundreds of people. I remember, I remember singing in front of 2,000 people, and I'm not a singer. If you've heard me sing, I'm not really a singer. But I've sung in front of 2,000 people because it's like, it's not that I don't care about people's opinion, but it's like I like the expression of energy. I like a good friend of mine, very good clairvoyant. He was looking at my throat one time, replying to Kenny. He was looking at my throat, and he was like, your throat's very interesting, because because the throat deals with expression, the throat deals with the concrete mind, with details, right? And he goes, instead of your throat being very focused and channeled, your throat is like this, and it just like propels energy in all directions, like a megaphone, right? So that's kind of like my jam. That's why I do these live streams all the time, because it's part of my purpose. Hugo says, hi Kenny, when are we going to dance again in Bovina for people's birthdays? That was a crazy day. Hopefully next time you'll be there, and Christian too. Yeah, that will be pretty sweet. Brittany got a little show. For those of you who know Brittany Smith, while she was at the 9-day retreat, it was her birthday, and we were celebrating her birthday in a very provocative, sexy, sultry way. Because we want to acknowledge, right? We want to recognize, we want to celebrate a person's birthday to let them know that we love them, that we care about them. And it was interesting because Brittany was sharing with me her experience of her birthday the previous year, the previous 9-day retreat, and it got super, super weird. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but Brittany, that was kind of weird, but I love you. I don't know. It's just a strange story all around. But I will say this. Haven't laughed so hard and so long in my entire life. In my 39 years on this planet, sitting next to Brittany, because we were both operating the camcorder for the event, we would switch on and off. One goes to the bathroom, the other one checks it out. One, we flip around, right? Unbelievable. We laughed so hard. We actually have several of the laughs caught on tape. We laughed so hard for so many different reasons. And Hugo, another Hugo, my Denver Hugo, what's up? Weird and amazing way, Christian. All right, everyone relax. So super, super, super funny. Like, and we would bring in other people into the vortex of humor. So it's like we would start laughing, and then other people would just kind of come into the vortex of comedy, and then they started laughing. And then we started laughing at them, even though nothing specific was funny being said. So you can have a lot of fun in Bovina on the retreats, because why? There's a tremendous amount of energy coming down, right? The chakras are super activated, super open, pulling down a lot of energy, and that energy, the divine energy, the healing energy, is breaking up negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative programs. It's cleaning you out. Prakash, Abba Namaste, right? And when the energy body is clean, right? When the energy body is clean of negative thoughts, negative feelings, you're able to have emotional calmness, you're able to have stillness, you're able to hear the whisper of the higher soul, and your intuition is more accurate. Your ability to tap into more subtle, refined energies of like love and joy and bliss and fulfillment is heightened. So you're able to tap into things that normally in other environments and other situations would be more difficult to do. It's possible to be able to do it anywhere with proper training and years of practice and purification, but it's possible. So we kind of covered a bunch of stories there. What else do you guys have? Kenny says, have a wonderful day, Christian. I gotta go. Love you, Kenny. You're missed. We talked about you in a positive way behind your back. I'll see you soon. But feel free, throw out another question. Oh, look. It says right there, I am the soul. oh, we're getting it. But I remember a girlfriend of mine back in the day, she would ask the question, she would go, you're going to another retreat? Another retreat? Another retreat? And she became an Hatha yoga practitioner, but she had never gone to any retreats. And she goes, I don't understand why you go to these retreats. It's like, it's a whole weekend. Wait a minute, there's ones that are longer than a whole weekend. There's a 9-day retreat. There's a 21-day retreat. She's like, I would be bored out of my mind, right? And so we were joking about that. So a year went by. She was practicing her Hatha yoga relatively regularly for about a year. And then she was inspired to attend our Hatha yoga retreat on the West Coast because the timing worked for her. So she registers online, buys her ticket, flies out there. I attended the event with her. And the first hour, not the entire weekend, but the first hour of class, she looked over at me and she goes, now I know why you go to these things. The first hour. Now I know why you go to these things. So she gets the benefits of going to a weekend retreat, but I don't think she's there with the 9-day or 21-day retreat yet. She was talking about doing the 9-day retreat this year, but the will wasn't there, the clarity wasn't there, the inspiration to go wasn't there. But I'm predicting next year she'll probably do the 9-day retreat. And you would think to yourself, 15 hours a day, it's got to be boring, right? There's no way. Like 15 hours of meditating. Well, keep in mind, we're not doing a 10-day Vipassana retreat where we're in complete silence for 10 days, right? Where we're just sitting in a room in lotus or half lotus and then looking at a white wall to be aware of our thoughts and our feelings, right? We're not doing that for 10 days straight. We're doing lectures, we're doing meditations, very deep meditations. We're doing healings to ourselves, on each other, and receiving healings from the masters, right? And then we have our breaks, we get lunch, we do activities in the evening, we do exercises. Like last night, Adriana would love such a retreat. Of course you would. That's why you're going to be coming here. So be it properly and rapidly. So last night, to give you guys mini Atma Namaste, you changed your profile picture. Good to have you on as always. We did the fire ceremony, or purification by fire. That was led by one of the masters, and it was beautiful. Of course, when you get pranic healers together and you get fire, you have to get s'mores, right? It's kind of like goes with it. I don't know about the corn. We did corn on the cob. I'm not quite sure why we did corn on the cob, but most people enjoyed it. But we had some s'mores, and that was amazing. And then we did purification of our weaknesses, right? So the exercise was very simple. We had a notebook, and we wrote out 5 of our weaknesses, 5 things that we wanted to get rid of, 5 things that we wanted to disintegrate, 5 things that we wanted to offer to the beings of the fire to consume, to purify ourselves so we can move our lives forward, right? And this could be related to subconscious healing as well, bringing it from the subconscious to the conscious. Daphne, Atma Namaste, good to have you back on, as always. And so we did that late into the evening. I think we ended maybe 11 o'clock or so, and it was a great experience. Several people lost their marshmallows. We had 2 kinds of marshmallows. We had the little baby marshmallows like this, right? Little teeny tiny marshmallows, several of them on one stick. And then we had a gigantic marshmallow that was the size of your fist. And it was funny. It was funny to hear a couple of the people go, no, I'm not going to have any s'mores. No. And then they just went ham. they went all in. Big fisted marshmallow, chocolate, graham crackers squished together, going after it. So it was really cute. But yeah, so there's all these different practices that we do for the purpose of cleansing and purifying ourselves, gaining awareness and understanding as to how and why we got there to begin with, what to do to not get there and move our lives forward, and then we energize the new thoughts, the new feelings, the new behaviors that we want to move our lives forward, right? Because if you have poverty consciousness deep in your subconscious mind and throughout your whole energy body, throughout your aura, throughout your chakras, how successful are you going to be in business and in life? Probably not successful. So we remove the poverty consciousness, we gain awareness and understanding on how we got there and how we can move forward, and then we bless the new thought, the new feeling, the new words, the new programs of prosperity consciousness to move ourselves forward. And that doesn't just apply to poverty consciousness, it applies to negative pride, low self-esteem, low self-worth, feelings of undeservingness, anger, depression, fear, right? So as we talk about in pranic healing, it's cleansing, purifying, removing the old stuff, gaining awareness and understanding, and then, right? And then we energize the right thoughts, the right words, the right actions, the right livelihood to move our lives forward. So it's really, really beautiful. And it's funny, I was talking with one of the younger practitioners, younger as in physically younger practitioners, who's been around pranic healing for most of her life, and she was a bit frustrated because she was saying, I feel like I've heard this over and over again. I've heard the teachings, I've heard Master Choa's, I've heard the recordings, I've read the books, I've seen, I've done the meditation many times, and it's becoming like part of her was shutting down to listening. So what does that mean? The cup is full, right? The cup is full. So she has to empty the cup. She has to let go of her limiting beliefs and her preconceived ideas, her old programming, and be open and receptive to listening with new ears. There's a famous quote that it's not about seeing new vistas, it's about seeing with new eyes, right? It's not about seeing new vistas, it's about seeing with new eyes, which relates to travel, right? So many people are fascinated with travel because when you travel, you're seeing new things, you're constantly being stimulated with new restaurants and new activities and new vistas and new people and new culture, right? But here's the thing, after a period of time, you start to become accustomed to that particular place that you're traveling to, and you have to go from new vistas to new eyes, to seeing things that you have not seen before. So just because you've read a book 5 times on spirituality or 5 times on success does not mean you've mastered and integrated the teachings that are in that book or in that seminar or in that podcast, right? So I was encouraging her to look at pranic healing and look at Arhatic Yoga with new eyes, from a new perspective, to empty her cup. And as we were talking about that, you could see her energy was changing, you could see she was becoming brighter, you could see there was a greater level of hope, curiosity, and enthusiasm for that. And then that energy sustained her for the rest of the 9-day retreat, which was great, right? So I remember one of the master pranic healers said to me in California, he was noticing that some of my live streams were becoming controversial and becoming divisive. Like I was taking a side, right? Like I was bringing up a controversial topic, and then I was taking a side in that controversial topic. And he mentioned something interesting. He says, why would you divide or alienate half of the audience? Why wouldn't you look for a harmonizing factor? And he knew what I was about to say, but I said it anyways. I said, well, to be honest with you, I've become kind of bored with the subject matter, right? Because I've been doing these streams at that time for probably 2.5 years, maybe, almost 3 years, and almost daily, 30, 45 minutes. It's like, all right, well, we've talked about the aura only so much. We've talked about the chakras only so much. We've talked about, meditation on twin hearts only so much. And he said to me, well, the great ones, the holy teachers, have been talking about the subject matter for centuries. Scott, namaste. And they're not bored with it. And if they're not bored with it, why should you be bored with it? And I thought to myself, okay, so less divisiveness, more harmonizing things, new ways of looking at things, and let's see where we can go with this. Because here's the thing. If you're not changing, then yes, it's going to sound like the exact same thing that you've heard over and over and over and over again, right? But if you hear something, you take that thing that you hear, you practice it, you get feedback, then the next time you hear the same thing, you're going to be listening from a different angle, a different perspective, a different level, and then your knowledge turns into understanding, and then turns into wisdom, which is where we all ultimately want to be. So to say that I've mastered the Twin Hearts meditation would be very prideful, would be very inaccurate, right? Even though I've done the meditation over 4,000 times, does not mean I've mastered it. Does not mean I know all the intricacies and the ins and outs and all the different levels of the meditation. Not possible. So again, asking yourself the question, what am I not seeing? What is the deeper level of truth? What is a different level of truth? How can I empty my cup to receive more? Does that make sense? I think about that all the time. If I'm ever sitting in class, and it's happened occasionally, I'm sitting in class and I'm like, oh, I've seen this video of Master Choa before. Oh, I've heard this teaching by Master Choa before, right? Because the tendency is there. 15 years as a practitioner, you're bound to hear the same thing over and over again. You're bound to see the same video, have the same story, whatever. But then it's my responsibility to go deeper into that teaching, deeper into that video, deeper into that meditation, deeper into whatever it is that we're covering, right? Versus, I've heard it, I've been there, done that, but have you mastered it? So Master Choa talks about the principle of know, remember, practice, master. Know the material, so usually the material comes to you by a teacher in some shape or form. Then remember the material that you were taught, because if you can't remember it, it's going to be kind of difficult to then take the next step of practicing. And then after you practice something for a prolonged period of time, you will eventually master it. So a teacher's responsibility is to give the student the information and then remind them of that information, right? That's why we do retreats, that's why we do classes, that's why we do reviews. And then our job as the practitioner is to practice and master what we've been taught. And it's actually, it's very interesting how you may think, for instance, at this retreat, there was a technique that I was doing, not for a couple weeks or a couple months, but there was a technique that I was doing for several years that I hadn't had anybody sit down and quote unquote review it with me. I got the technique, practiced the technique on some level, mastering of the technique, but I didn't have enough understanding about how that technique applies to other areas of somebody's life. So my understanding deepened, my appreciation for the technique increased, right? But if I hadn't attended the review or hadn't spoke up about this technique to get clarification on it, then I would just keep doing the same technique in the under the wrong circumstances. Does that make sense? So it always pays to review. I remember, I think I've done basic pranic healing maybe 10 times, and every time I've done it, I get another nugget out of it. Every time. And I'm like, I know that. I've read the book several times. I know this material. Was that not mentioned before? I'm like, no, it's right here in the instructor notes. It's like, how did I miss that? So, yeah, it's a time commitment to retake a class, to reread a book, to reapply the things that you think you know. And I can't emphasize that enough. Practicing is super, super important. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's pranic healing or hatha yoga or some other school or some other field of knowledge. You have to practice what you learn, because that's when it becomes you. That's when you integrate it into your life. I'll give you an example. When we were leading the Twin Hearts meditation in Denver every single week, face-to-face, reviewing classes. See, Brittany's a pranic healing instructor. She knows reviewing classes are so important. I remember we would there were people who would be attending the Twin Hearts meditation religiously for years in our group. They didn't miss it. We would have it, in one part of town and then another part of town later on in the week, and these people almost would make every single meditation. Twin Hearts, Lord's Prayer, Archangel, Prosperity Meditation, they didn't miss any of the meditations, some of them for years. And so as these people became more experienced and were around the energy, some of them became pranic healers, some of them became arhatic yogis. And so I would say, okay, do you want to lead the meditation today? Right? Because you've been attending this meditation for 2 years straight, and you've been practicing at home, with the CD, with Master Choa's voice. I said, would you like to lead the meditation? And when you ask them to lead the meditation, no idea what to do. Even reciting the prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi, no idea. Couldn't tell you what the first line is, right? So they were practicing, but they got into a rut. They got into a comfortability of okay, we do this invocation thing, and now I raise my hands like this, and then I put my hands down, and then that's it, right? They were going through the movement, going through the motions, right? Same thing that I've heard with many of my Christian brothers and sisters that were brought up in the Catholic faith. They were taught the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom, right? They were doing it with rote, no awareness, correct. So they lacked awareness, they lacked reverence, they lacked understanding. So of course, they've capped out. They're like, yeah, whatever, raise my hands, blah, blah, blah. So that's why, and I knew this in my own practice, but I knew every single class, whether it's Twin Hearts, Lord's Prayer, Archangel, Prosperity Meditation, I had to do something a little bit different, just a little bit. Not changing the outline or the format of the meditation, but introducing a new concept, a new principle, saying it in a new way, giving a new story, something to get people to go, I never thought about it like that. Or, oh, that's interesting, right? Same thing with my clients, right? We've been working on something for a period of time, many, many layers have been removed, and then they start getting into the, this is how a healing is. Okay, this is how a coaching session is. This is what we've talked about before. You got to introduce a little bit, a nuance or a new point for them to go, okay, to re-inspire them, so then they keep doing the practice, right? Because we can have that tendency, okay, raise my hands, yada, 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 Our Father, or, Lord, make me an instrument, etc., etc. So when you know the Twin Hearts meditations backwards and forwards, and you can lead yourself and lead other people when you know the Lord's Prayer, when you know the Archangel Meditation, when you know the Prosperity Meditation, when you know meditations within our Hatha Yoga, backwards and forwards without having to use the CD, you are able to better integrate the teachings. You are better able to embody the teachings and the energy of what's in the CD. But if you can't meditate because you don't have the CD, it's not in you. You haven't integrated it into your day-to-day life, which is super, super important. Right? You want to embody it. Does that make sense? Is that clear? What else? What other questions, comments, clarifications do you guys have? Still have an hour and a half before we go back into class. I'm not going to be on an hour and a half, but I want to see if you guys... Oh, the truck is back. I want to see what you guys need, wanted, and required. You're welcome, Brittany. My pleasure. We covered the soul notes. I showed you guys a little bit of that. The card, the vision board. Talked about some of the activities that we've done over the 9 and 21 days. What else? Look at it this way. For those of you on right now, you're on for a reason, right? I don't know if it's just to look at my face and to see how well my tan is going, but you're on for a reason. You're on to be inspired. You're on to learn something. You're on to be reminded of something to deepen your own spiritual practice. You have time for a twin heart? We don't do Twin Hearts live on Facebook anymore, Adriana. You know that. We got to do it. We got to do it on another platform, a secretive platform. Michael, namaste. Welcome to the party. Scott's asking why. Just because the Institute wants to make sure that everyone is being taught properly, that they're doing the exercises properly, they're doing the breathing properly, they're doing the meditation itself properly. So it's just to protect the integrity and purity of the work. So on Facebook, we're not able to see people. On the other platform, we're able to see the people. That's why. Yeah, so on another platform, of course. Oh, Adriana, it's not Sunday. My hair is getting longer and crazier. What else? Do you guys have anything else that you want to cover? We covered a lot of stories and information over the past. I think we've been on for about an hour now, which is good, right? Hopefully you've been re-inspired to do a retreat, whether it's a weekend retreat, whether it's a 9-day, 21-day. At one point, in India, they had a year-long program. So basically it would be intensive meditations in the morning, healings all day as service, distant or face-to-face, and then lectures in the evening, and doing that, to my understanding, every day for a year. I mean, think about how much your spiritual growth would grow within that period of time, right? But to my understanding, it stirred up a lot of things for a lot of people, and many of the people who signed up for the year-long program didn't finish. Which, I mean, think about it. That's like it's like doing the Olympics, like signing up for the Olympics. Like, oh, I'm gonna win a gold medal against Michael Phelps, and I can do the dog paddle. You know what I mean? It's like you got to kind of work up to that. Looking forward to the Sunday meditations. Good. Yeah, they're going to be amazing. Denise is looking forward to the 9-day. Excellent. Put it on your calendar. I did actually want to say this to you guys that I think you'll appreciate. So in December, you guys know that we come together and we plan out our year, right? So for December of 2018, we planned out the year of 2019. And I have a 365-day wall calendar, and I wrote out like this retreat, this event, that event. Actually, Namaste. I planned out all the things, right, that I wanted to do, and I've accomplished all of them and more. So my last event, if you will, for 2019 was the 21-day spiritual vacation. So we cleaned the energy, we blessed it, we gave thanks, and here we are. So I would encourage you guys, rapidly and properly, I would encourage you guys for the coming year, make sure you pre-order your 365-day wall calendar, put it in your office on the north wall. Bernardo, Namaste. Put it in your office on your north wall, and plan out your year for 2020, right? Plan out your year so you can see, like, okay, for the month of January, this is what I'm focusing on. The month of February, the month of March. So energy flows super smooth, and I gotta admit, doing that has made all the difference. It's been an amazing year of spiritual growth, personal growth, emotional growth, financial growth, because I planned out the year. And that wasn't my own doing. That's something that's been done in pranic healing since I've been part of pranic healing. But again, you're like, yeah, I've heard that before. I know. You plan out your year in advance. I got it. But how many of you are doing it? And doing it with awareness, doing it with understanding, doing it with gratitude, doing it with humility, right? Doing it with purpose. Like, oh yeah, I'm just going to plan on going on these 2 trips. Okay, great. You do those 2 trips for the year, then what? Right? You have to plan out other things. So I would encourage each and every one of you to get one of those wall calendars. I think they're like $30, if I remember correctly. You can order it on Amazon. It comes in a tube. You just unroll it. You tack it all 4 corners on your wall. It's usually it's about 3 feet by 4 feet, something like that. And then you just take a magic marker and you fill in the very, very, very important days of the year for you, and events you want to attend, vacations you want to do, service projects you want to become part of, whatever it is. Write it out on the calendar. Another one I would recommend, I hadn't done this for this year, but I will be doing it for next year, of how much you want to tithe each month, how much you want to give to charity each month. So you can see it like, oh, all right, my goal is to tithe $100 this month, or $500, or $1,000, or whatever. And so you have that out, and then in December, we'll set that up. So we'll create a whole program for you guys in December to prep for this coming 2020 and make it the best year that you've ever had. That's the goal. That's the objective. That being said, for those of you who are looking for healing, feel free to go to ChristianRLong.com. It's my name. It's my website. It has everything on there. There's more information on there about me and how I can help you than my mother even knows. So go there, sign up for a consultation or healing if you know what you need healing on. And I look forward to serving you in the very, very near future. Do your best to book the healing after August 3rd. It's going to be a little bit more challenging to do the healing face-to-face. So book it after August 3rd. And I look forward to serving you. And that actually, because of all of the energies that are being generated and stored for this 21-day retreat, you will be a direct beneficiary of those energies with the healings. So if you're looking to get healing, this will be probably the best time to get healing after August 3rd. So thank you guys very, very much for sharing your time, your energy with the group. Thank you for your questions. May the rest of your day be blessed with light, love, and power from God and our teacher, Grandmaster Chogo Koksui. Any questions, direct message me or email me at ChristianRLong@gmail.com, and I look forward to serving you in the very, very near future. This is Christian R. Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful Thursday, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Atma, Namaste. Bye-bye. You're welcome, Brittany.